Dean, thank you for joining us today.
Good to be here.
Let's skip the buzzwords and some of the shiny objects
Sure.
and get straight to the question. What is IT modernization really?
So I think IT modernization means something different for security, and especially for people in identity and access, right? Where we've had an underpinning of identity and access for a long time. And actually trying to modernize that is kind of difficult. So how do we kind of fly the plane and put it together at the same time, which means sort of incrementally replacing some of that underlying infrastructure. And with security, it typically has a reputation of being complex and expensive. So how do we do security in the greater context of IT modernization and make it simple and easy to use and have a greater speed to security than we've had in the past?
So how does modernization affect people, whether it's those in agencies or the Americans who depend on these services?
Sure. Great questions, especially considering the context of what we're in right now. It affects them in many different ways, right? In a situation like the one we're living through right now, where you've got to burst up to a large amount of users that need to be accessing their applications from places and devices that they haven't been in the past. That's beneficial to all of us, really. So now they can continue to work without, any disruption to the workforce or the workflow.
So what would you say is the biggest story in federal IT modernization today?
For us around security, it's being able to roll out an access solution to a large amount of people in a very quick period of time. Again, in the greater context of what we're talking about, it's the enterprise workforce, no matter where they may be. And at Duo, we've done that to over 30,000 users in a very short period of time. What used to take weeks to do, we've done in days and with very few trouble tickets. Again, in the greater context of IT modernization, and we've replaced a hardware infrastructure at 10x reduction in TCO.
And finally, what's the biggest risk agencies face today with their IT?
So I think from a Duo perspective, the biggest risk is, where are my gaps? Where are my gaps around access? And you know as well as anybody, we've had the primary form of authentication as well as the secondary form of authentication for the government has always been the card. Yet there are use cases every day that we cannot secure with the card, right? And this has spelled out ways to secure those use cases and applications with an alternative form of authentication like a Duo, right? Those are the biggest risks continually. Where are the gaps in my current access infrastructure, if you will, and how do I fill those gaps?